After 2 months of conflicting hub decisions and attempts made by ASUCR representatives to co-host the Heat Music Festival with Spring Splash, the Associated Student Program Board, ASPB, will host an extended Spring Splash for the spring 2016 quarter. As part of the compromise, the name Heat will not be in the title of the concert. On November 25th, 2015, the Hub voted to cancel the Heat Music Festival due to weather concerns caused by El Nino. On December 2nd, after a survey was sent out by Vice President of Finance, Shafi Karim, ASUCR voted to overturn the Hub decision. On December 11th, the Hub voted to reschedule Heat in accordance with the survey and ASUCR's decision. On January 11th, the Hub governing board decided to pull out of the decision to schedule 2 separate concerts and decided to host Spring Splash the same day as Heat, as long as Heat would be part of the title. As part of this agreement, the Hub and ASPB were expected to collaborate with each other for this concert. However, after January 11th, ASPB decided against this decision and refused to collaborate with the Hub to co-host both concerts on the same day.
My understanding is we are putting in all this effort and just to slap on Heat on the poster, what does that do for anyone, is my question. How is that helping the students?
So for
do you
me,
see that?
yeah, so someone mentioned about marketing and you would market it as being a bigger Spring Splash and like a bigger thing that, and it seems to me the most straightforward way of marketing that would be to just include Heat in the title. And that way people know like, oh, okay, this is incorporating elements of that. It's not taking away at all from Spring Splash, it's just, as someone mentioned, you could have top billing, you could put Heat underneath Spring Splash if you wanted to, you could put it after Spring Heat. I told you I'm gonna keep throwing it out there. But yeah, you would still be fully responsible for granting a great Spring Splash that also just has elements of Heat anyway. And so it's not as if this is a unique Spring Splash, it's Spring Splash that is unique because it has incorporated elements of Heat. So in terms of having, you mentioned having the students' best interest in mind, and I'll reference the survey again, which is that students didn't ask for like necessarily a longer event, they specifically asked for Heat not being canceled, so Spring Splash and Heat. And I think that is the big sticking point for me, is that the students, and I don't know if that was an option on the survey, but if they express an interest for us having one very long event, then I don't think we would have this conversation. But the fact that they specifically didn't want Heat, and obviously it can only happen on a single day, we can't have a multiple day event, but incorporating that or calling the first half, morning half Spring Splash, second half Heat, that's literally exactly giving students what they want, because the students want Heat.
Personally, as a student, knowing that Hub is trying to reschedule Heat, I would like to know where our money is going and where we paid our money to, and I feel like if you are already collaborating to put elements of Heat into Spring Splash, and I know you mentioned that Spring Splash has a really long history, which we really do appreciate, and personally I think it's a great event, but I also think Heat is a great event as well, and I think both have special qualities within themselves that are uncomparable to one another, but I definitely think collaborating at this sort of time, because I mean, Spring Splash is coming up next quarter, and if this is causing such a hindrance, I personally think that it would be nice to know that both Heat and Spring Splash is going to occur, and even if it's on the same day, I mean, this could be a new way of a partnership that you all might not have ever realized, but yeah.
And the thing is, in terms of transparency with the student and the student body, that's kind of why we're pushing. We're more than willing to let them know that this is where their funding is coming from. It's coming from Heat. This is where it was coming from, and now we're making Spring Splash better. I don't see how that isn't a compromise already, considering we're taking on this load that shouldn't have been placed on us in the first place, but we have been more than willing to kind of make those accommodations up until last week when the idea was, well, since we're giving you money, put the name on it. But that was never discussed up until last week. So we don't see how being forced to put Heat on our event does any service to students in terms of them not knowing, because like I mentioned, they will know exactly where these funds will be coming from. We're not trying to brand it as a Spring Splash that's just extremely bigger out of, just because. We want students to know that, hey, we didn't have Heat, but that money is going to Spring Splash, and this is what's going to happen. Putting a sticker on the Spring Splash brand of Heat for a year, that's not giving them Heat either, because that's not Heat.
Then, on January 27th, the ASUCR voted to overturn this decision. However, the vote failed 3-10-0, with President Pro Tempore Corey Willis, CNAS Senator Wenyu Chao, and Chess Senator Alan Alcantara voting to overturn ASPB's decision.